Just lost my needle come off. Don't know if you can see, but the end of my thread is frayed, so I just cut that and rethread it. I've gotten this far so far. Sometimes what you have to do is, as you stitch, the trim kind of folds back again, so you might have to fold it over and give it a bit of a pull and make sure that you get enough of the trim to enable you to sew it properly, because it does tend to want to roll back on itself like that, and then it seems too short. But if you give it a bit of a pull, it'll come out like that, which enables you to get the good stitching. Okay. So once again, through the trim, through the top of the trim, out the side of the trim, into the leather on a angle. If you want to do a quicker job, you can space the stitches about further apart. You could go about 3 to 4 mil, and then if you have really nice kote, you can make the stitches close together. But I don't recommend that until you've got some experience, and I don't really do it anyway. I generally keep about 3 to 4 mil, which is good enough. You can see that it's coming along reasonably neat. I've seen worse jobs that people pay for here in Japan, so I'm pretty happy with what I do. Sorry about the videos, a bit amateurish, well, very amateurish. I'm just kind of guessing where to hold the kote so it gets on the camera. But through the top, out through the edge of the, not the bottom, through the edge of the trim, and then diagonally into the kote palm, push, and then you kind of push with this thing, push the needle, and then you push it down to lift the needle up. And then I get it under my thumb, put a bit of pressure like that, and that enables me to get my fingers and pull. I'll do that again. Through the leather, through the trim, through the palm, push, so the needle comes out above my thumbnail, and then with that thumb I raise my thumb slightly, then I can pull. Try not to put too much pressure on the needles or they break. Sometimes you might have to bend the kote to help you get the needle out. But if you can, just put pressure down with your fingers to lift the needle. And then when it gets above your thumb, use your thumb to lift it so you can grab it and pull. really important is when you're doing the stitching, when you go through the trim, and then when you want to go to the palm, you can see this kind of joint, well, this thread line, and you want to get it, when you thread the needle through the palm, you don't want to thread it too far out into the kote, which is easier, but then not stretch the kote and make the kote small. So you want to get the needle as close to that area as possible, and that also helps make the trim roll over. And then if you do a good job, when you wear this kote or put the kote on, the trim will roll over and the stitches might become hidden like a real nice kote. So I don't know if I can show you. Yeah. So sometimes you might have to go through the trim and then kind of pull it back a bit and then put the needle down like that on an angle so that you can get it into a good spot and get it close into this area here, as close as you can. Which can be difficult and is often the cause of needle breakage. It's not going to show up very well on the camera. Give it a bit of a tug and it pulls it nicely to the kote. And if you go through the edge of the trim like I've said to, it pulls the trim kind of like down like that. If you went straight through, you'd get a flat edge on the trim here, which you don't want. Right, now I'm down into this area here between the thumb and the rest of the palm. This is for me the most difficult area here. This trim seems to bunch up a little bit right down here in the valley area, and it's quite difficult. And it's quite difficult to do the stitching too, because you've got this tight curve, and this is where you'll break most of your needles. So just be careful around here. It's quite difficult. Sometimes the trim might bunch up a little bit and become, you might get some creases, but with a bit of practice you get it looking nice. But it's really difficult in there. Okay, well, I've basically finished now. All I've got to do is tie off my thread, and so here, a bit hard to see, but my last thread is here underneath the underneath in there, see? And then what I'll just do is I'll just put the needle through there, push it through. I might do it again.